The room fell silent the moment the words left her mouth. A wine glass slipped from the maid's trembling hands and shattered across the marble floor. "You're nothing but a servant." The fiancée sneered, her voice sharp enough to cut through the air. The maid froze, shame flooding her face, and every pair of eyes in the lavish dining hall turned in her direction. But none of them knew the man standing in the doorway had heard every word. And that man was her employer, her protector, and most importantly, the millionaire she worked for. Adrian Carter had built his empire from the ground up. He wasn't born with privilege but with grit, sleepless nights, and sacrifices he rarely spoke of. For him, respect wasn't optional. It was the foundation of everything he valued. That night he had returned early from a business trip, hoping to surprise his fiancée Vanessa during the charity dinner she had insisted on hosting. Instead, he walked into a scene that twisted his stomach in knots. Vanessa, the woman he thought he loved, was standing tall with her diamond necklace sparkling under the chandelier, belittling the maid who had worked for his family for years. The maid's name was Rosa. She wasn't just an employee, she had been like family ever since Adrian's father passed away. Rosa had comforted him through grief, prepared meals when his work kept him too busy to eat, and reminded him to stay humble no matter how much money he made. To see her humiliated by the very woman he had been planning to marry, Adrian's chest burned with disappointment and anger. "Pick up the glass with your bare hands," Vanessa hissed, not noticing Adrian had entered. "Maybe then you'll learn to be more careful." The guests shifted uncomfortably, some lowering their heads while others whispered. No one dared intervene. For them, it was easier to stay silent. But Adrian could not. Enough. His voice thundered through the room, making everyone jump. Vanessa spun around, her smile faltering when she realized who had spoken. "Adrian, I didn't know you were back so soon." But he wasn't listening. His eyes were fixed on Rosa, who was bent over with tears in her eyes, trying to gather the shards. Adrian strode forward and knelt beside her, gently taking the glass from her trembling hands. "Rosa, don't. You'll hurt yourself," he said softly. The room gasped, the millionaire on his knees for the maid. Rosa shook her head, whispering, "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to. You have nothing to apologize for." Adrian interrupted firmly. When he rose to his feet, his gaze landed on Vanessa, colder than anyone had ever seen it. "Is this who you really are?" he demanded. "The woman I thought I knew would never treat someone with such cruelty." Vanessa's face flushed, but she tried to maintain her composure. "Adrian, you don't understand. She made a mistake in front of our guests. I was only teaching her discipline." "Discipline?" Adrian's voice cut like steel. "No, you were humiliating her. And in this house, respect is not negotiable." The weight of his words hung in the air. Vanessa stammered, searching for an excuse, but the damage was done. The guests now looked at her with judgment rather than admiration. Her carefully crafted image of elegance crumbled in seconds. That night didn't end the way she planned. Adrian dismissed the gathering early, apologizing to his guests and ensuring Rosa was comforted. Vanessa tried to plead with him privately, insisting it was a misunderstanding. But Adrian had already made up his mind. The days that followed were filled with confrontation. Vanessa accused him of choosing a maid over his fiancée. She cried, threatened to walk away, even suggested Rosa had manipulated him. But the more she spoke, the more Adrian realized something he had been blind to. He had been chasing the wrong kind of love. Vanessa loved the lifestyle, the attention, the power, not him. The breaking point came when Vanessa insulted Rosa again during a private argument. "If you marry me, that woman has to go," she demanded. Adrian's response was calm but final. "Then you should leave Vanessa, because Rosa stays." The engagement was over. Gossip spread quickly, with many criticizing Adrian for letting go of a glamorous fiancée. But others applauded his decision, calling it a display of true character. Adrian didn't care about the rumors. His only concern was protecting the dignity of the woman who had always been loyal to him. What Vanessa did next, however, shocked everyone. Days later, she appeared at Adrian's office without warning. Rosa happened to be there, delivering his lunch as she often did. Vanessa approached her, her eyes brimming with tears. To everyone's disbelief, she knelt before Rosa and whispered, "I'm sorry, truly sorry." Rosa froze, unsure if this was a trick, but Vanessa's voice cracked, raw and unpolished. "I let my pride blind me. I thought being powerful meant being above others, but I was wrong. You deserve respect, And I humiliated you. I don't expect forgiveness, but I had to say it." The entire office had stopped to watch. Even Adrian stood speechless. For the first time, Vanessa's arrogance had vanished. She left quietly after that, not asking for another chance with Adrian, but simply leaving behind an apology that echoed in everyone's hearts. Rosa, in her kindness, forgave her. "We all make mistakes," she said gently. "What matters is whether we learn from them." The incident became a lesson that spread far beyond Adrian's mansion. His staff spoke of it for months, and his business partners often remarked on how a man of his stature had chosen respect over status. But for Adrian, it wasn't about teaching others, it was about living by the values he had always believed in. In the end, the millionaire wasn't remembered for the wealth he possessed or the glamorous fiancée he let go. He was remembered for standing up for the dignity of someone others overlooked. And in that moment, everyone realized the truth: money may build an empire, but respect and kindness are what make it worth living in. The sound of laughter filled the grand dining hall, crystal glasses clinking as music drifted softly in the background. It was supposed to be a night of elegance, a charity dinner to showcase generosity. Yet, in a corner near the serving table, something darker was unfolding. Rosa, the maid, moved quickly to refill wine glasses. She had worked tirelessly all evening, making sure every guest felt comfortable. But her hands trembled as she carried a tray of delicate glasses. One slip, one crack, and the tray clattered to the ground. Gasps filled the room as wine splashed across the floor. Before Rosa could even apologize, Vanessa's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Pathetic. Can you do nothing right?" Her words dripped with venom, and every guest turned toward the scene. Rosa bent down, cheeks burning with shame, but Vanessa wasn't done. "Maybe you belong scrubbing floors in a shack, not serving people of status." Rosa's throat tightened. She whispered, "I'm sorry, miss," and reached for the broken glass. And then another voice spoke, a voice everyone knew but no one expected to hear so soon. "Stop." Every head turned to see Adrian Carter standing at the doorway. He was supposed to be away on business, yet there he was, his face carved in disappointment. He didn't look at his fiancée. His eyes were locked on Rosa, kneeling in humiliation. Walking forward, Adrian crouched down, gently lifting the sharp pieces of glass from Rosa's hands. "Not another word," he said firmly to her. "You've done nothing wrong." The room was silent. The millionaire, the host, kneeling beside the maid. Guests glanced at one another, unsure if they should stay or leave. Vanessa's smile faltered. "Adrian," she began, forcing a laugh, "you're making this a bigger deal than it is. She embarrassed us in front of everyone. I was only correcting her." Adrian straightened, his jaw tight. Correcting her? That wasn't correction, that was cruelty. A gasp rippled again, this time directed at Vanessa. She tried to defend herself, but Adrian's voice was final. "If this is how you treat people when you think no one is watching, then I don't know who you really are." The dinner ended abruptly. Guests left whispering, some casting sympathetic looks at Rosa, others shaking their heads at Vanessa. For Adrian, the night was over, but the lesson had only begun. In the days that followed, Vanessa tried desperately to mend things. She brought gifts, flowers, expensive apologies. But Adrian refused to be swayed. "Respect," he told her, "is more valuable than any jewel you wear. If you can't see the dignity in others, you'll never understand me."